Is Red Bull in crisis? What is happening to the team that has dominated Formula One in recent years? In recent races, we've seen Max Verstappen, the three-time world champion, struggle to get on the podium. The Dutchman is no longer flying high, and the Austrian team seems to have lost its wings. But what is really happening behind the scenes? Rumors are circulating in the paddock. Adrian Newey, the genius behind the cars that propelled Verstappen to the top, might be packing his bags for Aston Martin. And Max himself. Could the Dutch driver be considering a change of scenery as well? Meanwhile, McLaren and Mercedes seem to have found their way to victories, threatening Red Bull's reign. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated. And now, let's get to the main topic. Red Bull, which seemed unbeatable at the start of the season, now faces a performance crisis that few could have predicted. Max Verstappen, the driver we were used to seeing cross the finish line first, is now struggling to maintain his podium position. But what has changed? In recent races, it has become evident that the Austrian team has lost its competitive edge. Verstappen himself has publicly admitted that Red Bull no longer has the fastest car on the grid. "I think they are ahead of us," said the Dutchman, referring to McLaren and Mercedes. Sometimes it's McLaren, sometimes it's Mercedes. "We know we have work to do." This surprising statement comes from a driver who started the season with a series of dominant wins. The drop in performance is not limited to Verstappen. His teammate, Sergio Perez, has also been struggling, consistently finishing outside the podium in recent races. Technical problems seem to be at the heart of this crisis. The team has struggled to find the ideal balance between straight-line speed and cornering grip. Recent updates to the car, which were supposed to improve performance, seem to have had the opposite effect, making the RB20 harder to drive and less predictable under different track conditions. Additionally, rival teams have made significant advancements in their own cars. McLaren, in particular, has made a quantum leap in performance, with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri regularly challenging, and sometimes surpassing, Red Bull's cars. Mercedes has also found new speed, with Lewis Hamilton returning to the top of the podium. This convergence of factors has created a perfect storm for Red Bull. The team that seemed invincible now finds itself struggling to maintain its lead in the championship. The pressure is mounting, and the upcoming races will be crucial in determining whether the team can regain its dominant form or if we are witnessing the end of an era. But while Red Bull struggles on the track, an even bigger drama may be unfolding behind the scenes. At the epicenter of this earthquake shaking, Red Bull is a figure who rarely appears in the spotlight, but whose influence in Formula One is unmatched: Adrian Newey. The legendary engineer, considered by many to be the greatest designer in F1 history, is reportedly on the verge of leaving the team he helped transform into a dominant powerhouse. Persistent rumors suggest that Newey is heading to Aston Martin, in a deal that could be announced as early as September. If confirmed, this would be one of the biggest moves in the F1 market in years, with the potential to completely reshape the balance of power in the sport. To understand the seismic impact of this news, it's essential to recognize the crucial role Newey has played in Red Bull's successes. His innovative designs were key to Sebastian Vettel's 4 consecutive titles from 2010 to 2013, and, more recently, to Max Verstappen's 3 championships. Newey is not just an engineer. He is a visionary whose aerodynamic genius has turned cars into moving works of art. Newey's possible departure to Aston Martin is not just about one man changing teams. It's about the knowledge, experience, and creativity he brings with him. For Red Bull, it's the loss of an invaluable asset that has been fundamental to their rise to the top. For Aston Martin, it's the promise of a bright future, with the potential to transform a mid-grid team into true title contenders. The timing of this move is particularly significant. With major regulatory changes expected in 2026, having Newey on board could give Aston Martin a crucial advantage in the new era of F1. Lawrence Stroll, the ambitious team owner, seems willing to do whatever it takes to ensure success, including reportedly offering Newey a contract worth $100 million over 4 years. But while Aston Martin celebrates and Red Bull worries, a question looms. What does this move mean for Max Verstappen's future? Adrian Newey's possible move to Aston Martin has opened a Pandora's box of speculation about Max Verstappen's future. The three-time world champion, who until recently seemed to have his future firmly tied to Red Bull, now finds himself at the center of frenzied rumors about a potential team switch. The connection between Verstappen and Newey cannot be understated. The Dutchman's genius behind the wheel, combined with Newey's mastery on the drawing board, has formed an almost unbeatable partnership in recent years. The prospect of seeing this synergy broken raises serious questions about Verstappen's future ambitions in F1. Although Verstappen has a contract with Red Bull until 2028, the F1 world has taught us that contracts are not always insurmountable barriers. If Aston Martin, with Newey on board, presents a compelling project for the future, could this tempt Verstappen to consider a move? Verstappen himself has been cautious in his public statements, maintaining his commitment to Red Bull. However, he has also made it clear that his priority is winning. "I always try to do my best. I try to optimize every weekend because if I have a good car, it also makes my life a bit easier and probably also makes the team's life easier," he said recently. The question remains: if Red Bull can no longer provide Verstappen with the most competitive car on the grid, would he consider a move? Aston Martin, with its substantial financial resources and the addition of Newey, could become an attractive option. Additionally, there's the Honda factor to consider. The Japanese manufacturer, which supplied the engines that powered Verstappen to his titles at Red Bull, is set to supply engines exclusively to Aston Martin from 2026. This connection could be another incentive for Verstappen to consider a move. However, a switch to Aston Martin would not be without risks. Moving to a team that is yet to prove capable of consistently fighting for wins and championships would be a significant leap of faith, even with Newey on board. Meanwhile, Red Bull is unlikely to sit idly by and watch their star driver leave. The Austrian team has considerable resources and a history of success that cannot be ignored. They will do everything possible to keep Verstappen and regain their dominant position on the grid. As the season progresses and more pieces of this complex puzzle fall into place, one thing is certain: Max Verstappen's future will be one of the hottest topics in the F1 paddock. Whatever his decision, it will have the potential to reshape the sport's landscape for years to come. With so many variables at play, predicting the outcome of this season has become a daunting task. Which team will be able to extract more performance from their car? Will Red Bull be able to solve their issues and regain their advantage? Or will we see the advantage shift between teams from race to race? Additionally, there is the psychological factor to consider. How will Verstappen handle the increasing pressure? Can he maintain his calm and focus in the face of growing threats from his rivals? Share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you want more analyses like this one. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything F1. Until next time, folks.